Welcome back to another episode of How Did They Grow? I created this podcast because I wanted you to learn how other coaches, freelancers, service providers, and course sellers are growing their business, landing 10 to 20 new clients every single month, paying them 50, 100, 200K months. See, if they've done it, you can too. And that's just the reality. And I want you to listen to these podcasts to understand what strategies are they using, what techniques are they exploring, because it's in these gems that you can apply it to your business and actually scale things up. When you're ready and you feel like you actually want to learn practical, proven methodologies, or even you want to hire a team that can build you a profitable personal brand, book in a chat with our team because we can guarantee you go viral and guarantee you get clients for your business.
Good afternoon, everybody. I am so pleased to introduce to you today David Brandt. Here is an award-winning leadership coach, a trainer, speaker who focuses on the education and nonprofit sectors, who has helped leaders achieve state, regional, and national recognition while guiding them on how to increase their joy, spend more time with family, and earn well-deserved awards and promotions. The best of the best, creme de la creme.
There you go.
David, welcome. Thank you so much for
thank
making
you.
some time. How are you?
No, thank you. Appreciate your time. Look forward to it.
Oh, so how about you start us off by telling our listeners a little more about that? What was the story that got you into leadership coaching? How did this all begin?
Absolutely. So I was in education space as a teacher, principal, superintendent for over 20 years. The majority of that in a leadership role, like about the last 12 as a superintendent. And I saw myself and my colleagues and my team just getting burned out. The joy and the reasons they all went into the profession just started to burn from just spending too much time, the stresses and everything that comes with working in education. And then, as I saw it also in the nonprofit sector. And so I needed to rekindle my joy. I needed to get my balance back and spend more time with my children and my wife. And as I did that, what I like to say, used to say mindset reset, and I've kind of changed that mindset to lifestyle. It's more than just my attitude and my mindset. It's my physical health, which was I neglected it. My spiritual health, all of those things, my attitude, my mindset, all of those things needed to be reset. And so as I rekindled and found that joy, I wanted to share it with others. And so over time, this coaching side has just taken over. And so I transitioned from leading school districts and coaching on the side to coaching full-time, speaking full-time, and just absolutely love sharing my journey and hopefully helping others same thing.
I love that. Wow. I can imagine, that education space, especially in, schools. I have relatives who work in that space, and I know they can very, very easily get burnt out with the workload. And like you said, the lack of work-life balance. How do you have a particular experience from a coaching client, or perhaps your first speaking experience? Like, what was the first transformation in someone else that you saw that stuck with you?
Sure. An individual that I can think of right now that has wanted out of education, was completely fried. And after a very short period of time, it was refocusing on their whys and bringing that back to their core roots, and then really looking at their day and how they go about their day, how they plan their day, and making sure they set the right things for themselves, their physical health, their spiritual health, transitioning. That individual found that they freed up 30 hours a week for themselves by doing that mindset reset, and by really looking at their day and prioritizing their day, and through that coaching experience and just supporting them along the way. They freed up time that allowed them. Their joy was back. Their wife noticed it. Their family noticed it. Their children noticed. Just the dad at the dinner table was different. And their staff, that then they were quickly promoted, and again continue to work on it. Something they continue to come back with, and I enjoy working with that individual now for about 4 or 5 years now, and just super excited for their success as they've climbed through various roles and the awards and such that they got themselves. But there's countless of people like that that you get to work with, and when they share the either struggle they've had with their team at work or at home, and maybe they didn't even realize the toll they were putting on their family or themselves, and how much freer they were just by going through and really looking at their priorities, how they time manage. They end up able to give so much more. They thought they were giving 80 plus hours a week, but not effectively, not efficiently, and they weren't filling themselves, so they couldn't help others. So by working on themselves, they were able to give so much more and just found their so much more productivity, so much more joy, and that just inspires you to work with people and continue to work with them when you hear those kind of things happen.
Yeah, wow, that's great. Yeah, that impact on the family always hits the most, doesn't it? Well, I'm really curious to know more about your first speaking experience. So a lot of our listeners are just starting off and they really look up to people like you who have their established coaching businesses, are established public speakers, go to events, to get asked to come and speak. And they really want to get to where you are. So what did you do to land that first opportunity, or how did that come along? Is there anything you would say is crucial to like making the most of that first opportunity to kind of have that snowball effect and make it work for you?
Absolutely. I think that's what your point of being a snowball effect. Never turning down an opportunity. So, whether it's something small like a Lions Club or a Rotary, and it's a free. You're not getting paid, but you're just continually honing your craft and understanding what audiences relate to, and being able to make that connection with folks and different environments, whether it is something so small like that or to a large stage where you're speaking in front of, whether it's hundreds or 1,000 people, learning how to make that connection. And so over time I got opportunities while still being a superintendent to speak, and whether it's at conferences and workshops, and those things continue, and what you said is right, it's a snowball. So the more audiences you get in front of, again, most of my first ones were not paid at all. Or, they might have been paid with a little gift card at the end, a little Starbucks or, something like that. And I was grateful for that. I mean, that was amazing. Or you got a coffee mug or a t-shirt. Just, it showed me that they connected, right? That they appreciated my time and what I shared. And so those folks just start talking, and then you start getting phone calls. And then you start putting yourself out there. There's various conferences and organizations that request keynote speakers. And so you put yourself out there. It's similar to when you try to get that first job coming out of school and you're applying to anywhere and everywhere. And somebody gives you that opportunity. And that's what you want. It's just that first opportunity. And what I would suggest, not only just continue to put out and speak anytime you can, but it doesn't matter whether it's 2 people, 200 or 2,000. Go about it the same way, because those 2 people, you might have hoped that the conference hall or the room was going to be filled, and it wasn't. But those 2 people are there, and those 2 people, if you can connect with them, are going to share that experience. But don't dismiss a small crowd. I've gotten some of my small crowds have resulted in more speaking engagements, more workshops to train and coach at, just as much as the big ones. So just never underestimate the audience. And again, there's 2 people there. They're meant to hear your message and give it your all, even if you're disappointed in maybe the first audience that you're expecting a bigger audience.
Yeah. Wow, that's great. I've spoken to a lot of speakers and coaches like you, and what I've noticed is that a lot of the time, like we said, the snowball, the network just grows by itself. And it's so important what you said, to just give it your all, whether it's 200 or 2,000. And the network just grows by itself through referrals, word of mouth. And I mean, I'm just guessing, with little to no effort on the marketing side, in terms of website, social media, is there anything that you've had to do so far, or has this kind of just played out naturally for you?
I hope you're enjoying this podcast. I hope you're taking notes. I hope you're learning so much practical wisdom, because that's what I really wanted from this podcast. Now, I just want to quickly say, if you're looking for a team that can actually help you explode and go viral with your personal brand with proven methodologies, I say this because I've been doing this for the past 5 years. We've got a team of 30 people who are ready to go ahead and explode your brand so you can get clients begging to work with you. you. Have a chat with one of our advisors. You can book in a chat using one of the links around this video, because that chat might just change your life.
It has played out. The referrals and the network has resulted in far more experiences and opportunities than the marketing, whether through LinkedIn or email marketing, anything along those lines. They're helpful. They are helpful because, again, your name's out there. Maybe it's so when a network person shares with someone else about your story, or maybe how that they think you could help them. Maybe your name's familiar. Maybe they saw you make a post on LinkedIn or Twitter or whatever your preferred paths are. I'm not a social media darling. I don't know how to do a lot of that. I don't necessarily enjoy the marketing side. So it is there's so much more value in the word of mouth, and by those experiences, those free experiences often turn into paid experiences. So I would rather put my money and time into maybe going to a conference, paying to travel to a conference and speak for free, than paying for Facebook ads or LinkedIn ads or anything like that. I think there's much more. I've had much more return on investment from those experiences than the LinkedIn ads and such.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I would say is that, obviously social media is a fully free platform. To some extent, you're exchanging your attention and you're exchanging your time for it to be free. But along with that, you've got millions and millions of users and accounts that can very easily turn into like these cult followers and things like that, who easily will just listen and go to wherever you go. So there's always like that side of things. But when you've built a network so naturally and organically from word of mouth and referrals, it can be so difficult to jump into the space where suddenly, you're new and you're starting from zero. And a lot of our listeners struggle with that, because the good thing of social media, like I said, it's free and there's so many users. But the bad part is that there's so much competition. There's so many people doing this, so many people, starting new accounts, and they just don't have the time and the expertise to invest in growing a large online audience. But like you said, LinkedIn and all that stuff can be helpful, because I find that in this day and age, it's like the first thing people do is they just look you up. They look you up online. Do you have a LinkedIn? Do you have like a page somewhere? Are you legit? Are you a real person?
Yes.
They might have, obviously seeing you in person is one thing, but hearing your name and learning about your services through somewhere else. First thing is they always just go to social media and they check that, as shallow as it sounds, they just check that follower number, and the higher it is, like, okay, this guy's legit, this guy's saying stuff that counts.
And with that though, I know I was a little scared to put myself out there with it, because like on LinkedIn, I didn't have many connections on LinkedIn. And my Twitter followers were just, regional folks who maybe more as a superintendent, they followed me for snow days, right? They weren't following me for my leadership content. And so I was worried about, how you could actually generate those followers or those connections on LinkedIn. And I've been shocked over the last 6 months how how exponentially my connections and followers and the analytics, when I make weekly posts and such on LinkedIn, how much traction and how many viewers and clicks. I do see that, and so I'm almost speaking to myself as I speak to others. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there on those, because like I don't have say like an Instagram account. I don't have one. So like I've always been worried, like, oh, I started with zero. That's as exciting as to see a high number, it's almost embarrassing to see a low number. But really my LinkedIn started with very small, and now, we're thousands and thousands of followers there, and connections that grow. So it happens quicker than you think, to build those networks, digitally, as well as your face-to-face kind of networks.
Yeah, absolutely. So many people can relate. I can relate. Our listeners can relate to that. Starting off, oh my gosh, I'm starting at zero. How embarrassing. That inner cringe feeling of, you know what you do, you know how good you are, and you can see this network around you. You have your events to back you up, but just starting something fresh can be so intimidating, and it does require time and investment, you know, and it does require expertise to be able to break through that noise. But it's so great that you have, you know, your established LinkedIn, and LinkedIn, especially for your field, works really well. But that doesn't mean that you can't, you know, expand into other things.
Absolutely.
You know, you can always repurpose. What's great is that you can always repurpose whatever you put out into so many different ways without having to spend even more time like creating new content for Instagram, creating new content for Facebook, and all these things. So that's definitely definitely a point that a lot of people miss. But
And there's great tools out there to help you post on multiple platforms at once, or in a couple different ways, as opposed to feeling like you have to make 17 different posts or take those times. There's a lot of things to help you navigate those things, and navigate your reach out to other people.
Would you see yourself, you know, building a personal brand on social media? Because a lot of people think that, oh, Instagram and Facebook might be for just personal entertainment, and you know, it's educate, you know, you're in the education field, nonprofit, I must stick to LinkedIn, you know, it's all the professional stuff. But there really are so many leaders and coaches who have built their cult followers on Instagram and all these social platforms. Would you see yourself building a brand like that on social media?
I would love to, and I just think it's kind of it's one of those that it's on the list of things as we build and they grow. And again, as far as doing the coaching and the speaking full time, that's been about a 6-month journey, right? And so it's come so much faster than I ever could imagine. I am shocked at how quickly things have come, and how quickly this is. It's a blessing that I can't describe. And so I thought, actually, in the beginning, I would have to become that person on Instagram, and become that Facebook, and all of those things. And it was a little overwhelming for me, because again, in education, we don't typically live in social media world professionally, right? And so learning those. And so, yes, it will. It just, like I said, for me, LinkedIn took off so fast that I was learning how to navigate just the business side of being a coach. Like I've always known how to coach, and well, not always. I've been comfortable in the coaching and the mentoring and working with and developing leaders, and you know, because I've went through that journey myself. But the idea of marketing just was not something that was attractive to me, because as a nonprofit, that just wasn't it wasn't innately who I wanted to be. And I've been blessed that it hasn't necessarily been part of it, but I just know that those are other avenues to make reaches to folks, and to be able to make a difference, that I hope to learn more and be able to dive into at a higher rate. But I've always been the kind of person too that when I want to do something, I want to do it right and really get into it. And so those are some of the next endeavors that I need to take on and make those kind of jumps as well. Like I say, as this journey just continues and continues, I think you can add. I mean, in the beginning, it was mostly workshops and coaching, and then speaking's become more and more of it as I get more and more used to and have these established clients. So I think those other ways to reach out to folks.
For sure.
I think you just continue to add, but also I just don't want people to hear that you have to overnight become an expert in all things marketing and social media. I guess that's kind of where I was coming from. Not that those things don't work. It's just that you can, by being you, it's your content. It's the value you hope to present to other people. What you're trying to pour into others matters a great deal, more so than those other things. Those other things help. Yeah. But being true to you and making sure you know your value you're hoping to instill or give to others, or how you want to support or help others, is paramount to your success. And then those other things just help you exponentially build your success, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just by how fast your LinkedIn grew is just a pure reflection of you, of who you are, how you conduct yourself as a coach, the quality and the value you provide to not just your clients, but obviously your audience and whoever is willing to speak. So that is absolutely just the proof. The proof is in the pudding, as they say.
There you go. Yeah. Mhm.
And especially on social media, it's just as long as it's something engaging and something interesting that brings value, one person is interested. The way this machine works, it's just going to show it to more people, and the more people are more interested, even more people, and that's just how your account has grown. But yeah, absolutely, it doesn't mean that it can't happen on other platforms. I can understand the overwhelm and wanting to do things right and not having the time as well to learn, a whole new platform. These platforms all have their different rules and their
Mhm.
strategies and all these
Mhm.
things. And that's why, some like that's why people do this full time. It's not an easy thing to do by yourself. It's not an easy thing to take on in a matter of weeks and months. Like you said, if you're doing it by yourself and you don't have like a team and of experts like doing the stuff for you behind the scenes, then it can take a lot of time. But it's definitely not impossible, and very, very, very much possible
Yeah.
for
Uh,
people like you.
well, and I think as again in the education spectrum, like social
Mm,
media is such sometimes it's taboo because what we see the negative
yeah.
sides with younger children especially, but it's there. But what do we know at the core heart of all of this? It's all about relationships,
Mm,
right? And showing that, and by using all of these tools available, you can build
mm,
these relationships um, all over, and the relationships can be just as rewarding on all sides through virtual meetings, through virtual conversations, through all the different platforms. It just expands your ability to add to your network and build relationships and learn from all over. And I have clients all across the country, and being able to work with folks from I'm in northern Ohio, and being able to work for folks in Hawaii and California, through in Florida and Minnesota and Canada, it's a wonderful thing
mm,
because we're like-minded and we want to make a difference. They want to make a difference, and um, I'm surprised at how authentic the relationships can be through virtual meets. I was
yes.
somewhat hesitant about that at times because I was much more of a personal one-on-one sit at a Panera or whatever it may be, and
Mm,
coach and build the relationships there. No, very close relationship, very professional, great folks to work with, to learn from, and for me to learn from all over. And I think that's another key, and it may go down a side of a different path, but another key, I think, for us coaches is to make sure we live what we're preaching and what we're talking about. I have coaches, and I have people who work with me and support me and help me grow. You need to continue that journey of growth um, just as much as you're trying to instill in others. Make sure you're continuing to grow. You are also living those things that you're talking about. You are taking time for your physical health, for your spiritual
mm.
health, for your family, so you can pour into others as
Well, yeah, it is just the world we live in today, I guess.
well.
Just everyone just has got to get with the times a little bit. Everything is so digitalized now. Oh my gosh, everything just working from home remotely full time is such a normal concept now, where
Yes,
even just 5 years ago, such a
it's
short
not.
time was not a normal thing to say, even though digital nomads were still something that were coming up, but it's so much more normal now for anyone, and to get to know people on a closer scale, whether that's personal or professional. But I do definitely see it happen a lot more in the professional world, is definitely more normal.
Mhm.
Um, so what are your plans for 2025? Where do you see yourself by the end of the year? Do you see any challenges that you're going to have to overcome to get to where you want to be? Tell us more.
Well, what I hope is to, continue coaching, continue the speaking and the training, but hopefully I'll get, the scale will get ramped up a bit. And I hope to finish the book at that point and be able to have that published this year, as well as we continue to work and fine tune that, get that out. I think the challenge is just continue to scale at the right pace. That I make sure, again, I continue to live what I ask others to do as far as living that positive, healthy life set myself, and continuing to grow and make those connections and being able to balance those. But I hopefully will increase the number of speaking engagements, because right now probably the majority of my time is spent with individual coaching, leadership coaching, mentorship in that aspect, and then it goes to my workshops, and then thirdly the speaking and with family and things, with my kids going off to college. It's opening the opportunity for me to travel a bit more, and so I hopefully will be speaking a bit more, and hopefully out of the country this year. Really, my speaking engagements have been within the States, which I absolutely love and would love to continue to do, but would love to be able to expand that as well.
Is there a particular area in the world that you'd like to speak?
Oh my goodness. Well, those would just be like on my desires of travel and love. And I love Italy. I got to during college, I worked in an orphanage over the summer between some colleges in Italy, and so some passions of that region, and it's just a beautiful area and beautiful, people, but all over. I mean, just to get to the historical things that are involved, especially in Europe, I just think are amazing, and love seeing those things. But in general, to be able to work with folks and to learn from people of different backgrounds and experiences is just such a rich thing, and such a blessing to do. So every and any opportunity, but to get into Europe, especially Italy, I think would be very special.
Italy is a beautiful country. That is a great bucket list item to tick off for sure.
It is.
Do you have any final advice or final message that you'd like the world to hear from David Brand?
That's powerful. I think, again, what I would love to say is be true to you. Make sure that you're you and you're special, and the things that have made you're not trying to turn into, as you desire to be a coach. I look up to various people, whether it is John Maxwell and John Gordon, all these amazing people out there who are doing amazing things, but that's who they are. Be you. You're special. You're gifted. You're here for a reason. You're obviously a gifted leader. So continue that. The other thing is just continue your growth journey. Continue your growth journey and make sure you're taking care of you, so you can have that true life set that is positive, it's healthy, it's rejuvenating, so you can increase your joy, increase your passion, have that balance in your life, and get the rewards you're destined and deserve to have.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, David. Thank you
Absolutely.
so much for that. I really appreciate your time and all this advice that you've shared with our listeners. It goes such a long way. It might be small too, but it really is a big thing for all of us here at Simplex and all our listeners. So thank you so much for giving us your time today.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Perfect. Have a lovely rest of your day.
Oh, you too. Thank you so much.
I really hope you enjoyed this podcast. I want you to go away and execute everything there is that you've learned. Now, one thing I will say is if you're in a position where you're ready to actually take things to another level, you want structured, clear guidance, you want a team that can actually help accelerate you, book in a chat with our advisors. Why? We can blow up your personal brand to attract clients begging to work with you. All you got to do is book in a chat with our advisors and we can help make it happen. Sound fair enough?